Hello, this is Roland. Today I want to mention a couple of very important things. First of all, I want to tell you that my easy meditation. Have you heard about my easy meditation? Maybe not. It's fantastic. Most people have a problem. If you're like most people, you have that problem. You know what it is? You get upset too easily. Humans are not supposed to get upset. Okay? Humans are not supposed to react like animals. It's perfectly normal for animals to react to things, but humans are supposed to be inwardly impelled. Okay? And you've known people who, when things get really, really rough and not good, there are some people that become calmer. We admire those people. It's because they're flowing from within. That's the way humans are supposed to be. Remember, there were people who, in the Bible, that it said walked with God. People like Enoch, Elijah, Moses, they walked with God. Okay? So they flowed from within. They had an inward compass. They had an inward source of moment to moment guidance from God. It was the inner light. They walked in the light. And they were close to the light. What's happened is you've fallen away from the light. Now you're outwardly directed, outwardly stimulated, outwardly motivated. Okay? And so it's all out there. But you don't realize that your ideas also come from out there. And you are led astray. And you wonder, what did I do that for? What did I say that for? You wonder. Well, the answer is you need to be inwardly impelled. So you need a little help to re-find the inner light. You need a little help. It's there. It's always been there ever since you were a little child. When you were a little child, you were close to the inner light, so your conscience, when you got really angry at your mommy or said something really mean to your mommy, then you felt bad. That was your conscience. You didn't know it was from God. It's from God. It's the inner light. It's 20/20 hindsight. But if you walked with God, if you followed like in the Bible it says, my word, this is God speaking, will become a lamp unto your feet. The inner light would give you wordless guidance, just in time guidance. Which way to go, which way to turn. You would just sort of know. Just the same way a robin knows how to build a nest, you would know how to build your life. One step at a time, just always checking with your intuition, checking with your conscience, with what you know in your heart, and seeing if you're restrained. If not, then you go a certain way. Sometimes something doesn't sit quite right with you, so you don't follow. Other times, the door quietly opens and you go through to prosperity and good things. See? So life is very delicate. See? There's not enough information in all the books in the world, okay, to guide you in that delicate moment with your child or with your spouse or with someone, you see? Or that delicate moment when there's pressure from outside or pressure from two outside reference points and you don't know which way to go. See? If you look to books, to something you memorized from some book, see, then it won't be fresh. It won't be timely. It won't be inspired. See, it may have worked for someone else. See, other people can write down their experience. Well, this worked for me and this worked for me, they say. Okay, well, maybe it did. Okay, it worked for them at a certain time and place. Okay, it worked for them. But then was then and now is now. And how about you and your life script and your life totem pole? Okay? And your destiny. See? You don't want to play the other man's game. You want to find what's right for you. So, with this long introduction, I'm basically telling you that the meditation that I have helps you to sit still. Okay? It's very simple. You sit still, you close your eyes, and you observe the light on the inside of your eyelids. You just look, close your eyes. Look at the inside of your eyelids. See the little sparkly light there, little particles of light, little patterns of light. You watch that light. See that light. You notice that light. Okay? And at the same time, you become aware of your hands. Your hand, okay? Your hand by your side, or it could be your hands on your lap. Okay? Either way, but you become aware of your hand or your hands while you're looking at the inside of your eyelids. And that brings you into the present moment. It puts you in contact with the inner light. And it begins a flow of that inner light. Something good from that inner light into your being, to warm your whole being. Extending, see, through your body to your hands. Your hands will begin to feel warm when you notice your hands. When you pay attention to your hands, they start to feel warm, tingly warm. You do that 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at lunch time, thereabouts, 5 minutes in the evening. That's all. And at other times during the day, you can close your eyes for 10 seconds or 15 seconds or half a minute. You know, if you're sitting quietly somewhere, you have a little time to spare, sitting at your desk or in a waiting room somewhere, or sitting on a park bench. Become recentered. That's it. See? That's what it is. But it helps you to become recentered, to refine the inner light, from which your intuition comes, from which conscience comes, from which inner guidance comes, from which wisdom comes. Okay? From which love comes. From God. Then when you have love, then you can share love. And when you realize you're forgiven, then you can forgive others. Okay? You really ought to give the easy meditation a try, or the prayer meditation. See, it's the same thing. I give it 2 different names. Okay? The easy meditation is a very good name for it because it's easy, it's fast, it's great for busy people. It's easy to learn. It's not complicated. It's easy. Okay? But it's also, I call it the prayer meditation, because a lot of people email me, okay? They don't feel like they're making the connection with God, or they're not sure if He's listening, or they're not sure if their prayer is working, things like that. Okay? So the prayer meditation, so I know what the problem is. Yeah, they're right. Most of the time they're right. They are disconnected from God, and the connection is not good. Like, have you ever been on a cell phone? Have you ever been on a cell phone in a bad cell area? And you can't hear what they're saying, okay? Or they can't hear. Well, you know they're there. You can't hear what they're saying, okay? Well, that's the way it is. A lot of us when it comes to getting in touch with God, okay? And you know why? It's not because He's not there. He's there. He's always there. It's because you are too lost in your thinking. See, you have developed a habit, and everyone has taught you this too. See, you've been mistaught. But it's also the natural inclination, as we humans are, until we realize that something's wrong, until we get smart, okay, and then realize that we're looking in the wrong place. See, you're lost in your imagination. You're lost in thinking. You're lost in daydreams, pipe dreams, planning, scheming, reminiscing about the past, trying to change the past, and worrying about the future. Am I not correct? That's where you are. See? So our ego, who wants to make things happen and wants to play God and wants to look good and prove, that sort of thing, we inherit that from Adam. Where does our ego look? It doesn't naturally look to God. That's right, our ego does not naturally look to God. See, because when you look to God, what you receive is humbling, okay, quieting. And then, knowing His will, then you would have to do God's will. So if you don't want to do God's will, see, if you don't want to do God's will, then the last thing you would want to do is have a rapport with the inner light from God, because then you would know His will. And you would be humble. It would be humbling. See? Instead, our ego wants to be proud, take credit, okay, for things. And so we avoid God. And then we become guilty for avoiding Him. Not to mention that we resented our mom and judge our husband and hate our neighbor and all that kind of stuff too. So we avoid God. And the guiltier we are, the more we avoid Him, which we become even more guilty for avoiding Him. See? You know how that is. Remember when you were a kid, you did something wrong. If you'd have gone to your parent immediately and said, Mom or Dad, okay, I messed up. I was throwing rocks in the backyard and I broke a window. Okay, if you tell them right away, then okay, then you deal with it. But what did you do? You tried to cover it up. You didn't want to tell. You didn't want to tell, or you even lied, and it got worse and worse and worse and worse. It would have been so much better just to admit what you did. See? Well, it's the same thing with God. That's why Christ told a beautiful story about the prodigal son. See? It's very astute, the story that he told, because that's the story of all of us. Except the prodigal son has a happy ending. The prodigal son took his inheritance and went off and lived a high life. Went with his friends or her friends and smoked marijuana and did all kinds of stuff. Was ambitious and just partied and wasted everything. See? Made mistakes along the way. Hurt people and was dishonest and all the usual stuff. But then finally he saw that it was not good, so he came back to his father. And the closer he got to home, the closer he got to the door, the more he didn't want to go, didn't want to face the music. Finally he knocks on the door and his father opens the door. He says, Father, I messed up big time. I'm no longer worthy to be your son. And his father says, my son, I knew you were messing up. I knew. I was just waiting for you to realize you were wrong and be sorry and come back. Welcome, welcome. Let's have a feast, because I lost a son and now I've regained my son. Yes, how beautiful. Well, the Father is always there, and He's still there now. Your Heavenly Father. He's waiting for you to approach that door, knock on the door, and say, Father, I'm wrong. Okay? My name is Pastor Roland.